The choir's harmony shattered like glass when his voice rose above the rest. A pure, haunting tenor that cut through the stained glass light and straight into my chest. I froze in the back pew of that old Methodist church in rural Georgia, my heart slamming against my ribs as if it recognized him before my eyes did. 30 years of buried rage and longing crashed over me in that single note, because there he was, my twin brother, the one our grandmother had ripped from my arms at 7 years old for daring to love the wrong way, now singing praises to a God who had forsaken us both. I was Brandon Hayes, 37 years old, a graphic designer scraping by in Atlanta's humid sprawl, the kind of guy who blended into coffee shop crowds with his faded band tees and perpetual 5 o'clock shadow. Life had been a series of half-hearted sketches, jobs that paid the rent but not the therapy bills, dates that fizzled like cheap fireworks, and a family history I'd redacted like a classified file. Growing up in the sticky summer heat of Savannah, I'd shared a room with Nicholas, my identical twin, two peas in a conservative pod raised by our grandmother after Mom overdosed on pills and Dad vanished into the ether of bad decisions. We were the golden boys of the First Baptist Church youth group, altar boys with matching freckles across our noses and dreams of escaping to the big city lights. But secrets have a way of festering in the Bible Belt. At 7, Nicholas had been caught kissing Tommy Whitaker behind the potluck shed. Innocent, clumsy, the way kids test boundaries. Tommy's folks were pillars of the congregation, and the scandal hit like a hurricane. Grandmother, with her iron-gray bun and rosary beads clicking like judgment, decided Nicholas was tainted, a stain on the family name. She whispered prayers over him that night. Then in the dead of dawn, while I sobbed into my pillow, she bundled him up and drove him 2 hours north to a Christian reform home in Macon. No goodbye, no explanation beyond a curt, "It's for his soul, Brandon. Yours too, if you don't watch yourself." I searched for weeks, sneaking into her Bible to find the address scribbled in the margins of Psalms, but by the time I hitched a ride there, he'd been shuttled to another foster family in Ohio. Gone. Erased. That betrayal carved me hollow. I rebelled quietly at first, skipping Sunday school, sketching forbidden figures in my notebooks, but by high school, I was out and proud in a town that viewed it as a phase to pray away. Grandmother's lectures turned to ultimatums. Choose Jesus or the streets, boy. I chose the streets, dropping out at 17, couch surfing my way to Atlanta with a backpack and a chip on my shoulder the size of Stone Mountain. Therapy came later, in fits and starts, funded by freelance gigs designing logos for queer bars and pride events. It helped me unpack the abandonment, but the hole where Nicholas should have been, that stayed jagged. Work had dragged me back to Georgia that crisp October weekend, a client retreat in Athens for a craft brewery's rebrand. Boredom led me to the historic Methodist church downtown, its spire piercing the fall sky like a forgotten promise. I slipped in late, aiming for anonymity in the shadows, but the service hooked me with its old-school hymns. And then, that voice. It was mine, but pure, laced with a vulnerability I'd long armored against. When the choir director called for solos, he stepped forward. Nicholas Hayes, or so the program credited him, his face a mirror of my own, aged by laugh lines and a wedding band glinting on his finger. He wore a crisp button-down, sleeves rolled to elbows revealing forearms dusted with the same reddish hair as mine. Our eyes met across the nave as his solo peaked on Amazing Grace, and the world tilted. I bolted after the benediction, pulse thundering, but he caught me on the steps. "Wait," he called, voice roughened by the song. "Do I know you?" Up close, the resemblance was uncanny. Same hazel eyes flecked with gold, same slight crook in the nose from that playground brawl at 5. I swallowed, tasting bile. "Brandon," I said, the name a grenade. His face drained of color, then flushed crimson. "No. God, no. Bran." He grabbed my arm, fingers digging in like anchors. We stumbled to a bench under a live oak dripping Spanish moss, and the floodgates cracked. He'd been told I was dead. A car accident, grandmother claimed, to spare him the pain. In truth, she'd fostered him out to a strict evangelical couple in Ohio who beat the devil out of him with belts and Bible verses. Nicholas emerged straight as a ruler, or so he thought, married to Emily, a sweet schoolteacher, father to 2 girls. But the cracks showed. Nightmares of a little brother lost. A compulsion to sing in church choirs across 3 states, chasing some echo of redemption. I dreamed of you, he whispered, tears carving tracks down his cheeks. Every damn night. Rage boiled in me, hot and righteous. How could she, our own flesh and blood, bartered like livestock for piety points? I wanted to storm Savannah, drag her from her nursing home rocker, and scream until the magnolias wilted. But Nicholas's hand on mine, warm, calloused from carpentry, stilled me. She's old now, Bran. Alzheimer's has her most days. What good would it do? His eyes, so like mine, pleaded for mercy I wasn't sure I had. We exchanged numbers, promises to meet again. Back in my hotel, I paced, phone clutched like a lifeline. Texts flew. Coffee tomorrow? Hell yes. But doubt gnawed. Was this real or another ghost? Sleep evaded me, haunted by memories of us as kids, building forts from pew cushions, whispering secrets under star-pricked Georgia skies. The diner on the square was a time capsule, checkered floors, formica counters sticky with syrup residue. Nicholas arrived early, fidgeting with a napkin, his wedding ring catching the fluorescent glow. We ordered black coffee, strong as regret, and dove in. He spoke first, voice steady but laced with tremor. They changed my name at first, Nicholas with AK, to purify it. Said Hayes carried too much sin. I laughed, bitter. Ours or hers? He winced. Both, I guess. The foster dad. He was a deacon. Beat me till I bled for looking at boys wrong. But I learned. Buried it deep. My turn. The foster homes I'd bounced through after grandmother kicked me out at 15, the street nights in Atlanta's underbelly, the first boyfriend who ghosted me after I confessed my crazy family. I came out loud, Nick. Parades, protests. Thought it'd honor you. Prove we weren't ashamed. His smile was wistful. You did what I couldn't. I love Emily. The girls. But sometimes, in the shower, I wonder what if I'd fought back. The air thickened with unspoken what-ifs. Our knees brushed under the table, accidental, electric. I pulled away first, heart aching with the unfairness of it all. 30 years stolen, and here we were, strangers in our own skin. Why church? I asked, nodding to the program crumpled in his pocket. Singing's the only place I feel whole. Like I'm calling you home. We walked the college town streets after, leaves crunching underfoot, autumn sun slanting gold. He pointed out sorority houses he'd renovated. I shared sketches from my tablet, queer icons reimagined in Southern Gothic style. Laughter came easy, a balm on old wounds. But as dusk fell, his phone buzzed. Emily, checking in. Guilt shadowed his face. I should go? But Bran, this isn't goodbye. It wasn't. Over the next months, we carved out a fragile rhythm. Weekend drives from Atlanta to his home in a sleepy Knoxville suburb, where I'd park a block away to avoid questions. Barbecues in his backyard, me charming the girls with uncle stories sanitized of truth. Emily was kind, oblivious at first. You two could be clones, she'd tease, passing deviled eggs. Nicholas's eyes would meet mine over the grill, loaded with secrets. But secrets breed shadows. One night, after a choir concert where his solo brought the house down, we lingered in the empty sanctuary. Moonlight filtered through the cross, bathing the altar in silver. Sing for me, I said, half joking. He did, How great thou art, voice wrapping around me like kudzu. When the last note faded, silence hummed. Our hands found each other, tentative, then sure. Not a kiss, God, no, but a hold that said I see you. All of you. In that moment, under the watchful eyes of saints in stained glass, I felt the twin bond reignite, fierce and forbidden. Emily noticed the change. You're different since your brother came back, she said one evening, as I helped with dishes. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Nicholas deflected, but the fracture line spread. I pulled back, visits rarer, texts clipped. Guilt gnawed at me too. Was I dismantling his life for my own greed? Therapy sessions devolved into rants. He was mine first. She can't take that. Thanksgiving loomed, a minefield. Nicholas invited me to Knoxville. Emily's hospitality strained but polite. The turkey carved tension thick as gravy. Midway through pie, grandmother's name surfaced, a letter from the nursing home, forwarded by a cousin. She's asking for you both. Emily read, voice neutral. Nicholas paled. Burn it. But I couldn't. The drive to Savannah was silent, our rental car eating miles under sodium lamps. The nursing home smelled of bleach and regret, fluorescent halls echoing our footsteps. Grandmother sat by a window, bird-like in her wheelchair, eyes milky with confusion. "Boys?" she murmured as we entered, recognition flickering. Nicholas knelt first, voice cracking. "It's us, Nana, Brandon, and Nick." She reached out, fingers trembling. "My angels. I saved you. From the fire." The lie landed like a slap. "Fire," I echoed, voice venom. "You mean the hell you thought he was going to?" Her face crumpled, fragments of memory surfacing. "He was wrong. Kissing that boy," the church said. "Pray it away." Nicholas recoiled, but I leaned in, rage uncoiling. "You gave him away. Told me he was dead. For what? Your spot in heaven." Tears streamed her wrinkled cheeks. "I was scared. Your mama's sins. I thought God wanted purity." Nicholas's hand gripped mine, white-knuckled. "Purity? You broke us." The room spun with accusations, her sobs, our shouts, until a nurse ushered us out. In the parking lot, rain lashed the windshield as we sat, drenched in catharsis and grief. "That was it," Nicholas said later, over whiskey in a dive bar off the interstate. The end of her hold. But endings birth beginnings. Back in Knoxville, Emily confronted him that Christmas Eve, suitcase packed. "I found the emails, Nick. The late nights. It's him, isn't it? More than a brother." He confessed, not the full truth, but enough. She left for her sisters, kids in tow, the house echoing with absence. I drove through the night, arriving at dawn to find him on the porch, Bible open but unread. "She's gone," he whispered. And Bran, I can't pretend anymore. The admission hung, heavy with 30 years' weight. We talked till sunrise, his buried desires, my fear of losing him again. No grand gestures, just truth. He was gay. Always had been. The church a refuge and a cage. "I love her still," he said. "As a friend. But you're home." The months blurred into rebuilding. Divorce papers signed amicably, Emily finding solace in therapy circles I'd recommended. The girls adapted, calling me Uncle Bran, with hugs that mended cracks. Nicholas moved to Atlanta, a tiny apartment above my own, his carpentry tools mingling with my sketch pads. We sang duets in the shower, off-key hymns twisted into queer anthems, and walked Piedmont Park at twilight, hands brushing without shame. But peace is fragile in the South. Whispers followed. The ex-wife's church friends, a cousin's Facebook post hinting at family scandal. One night, after a pride event where Nicholas belted show tunes on stage, a brick shattered our window, sodomite scrawled in red. Fear crept in, but so did resolve. We joined a support group for late-blooming gays, his voice steady as he shared. "I lost my twin once. Won't lose myself again." Spring brought the climax I never saw coming. Grandmother passed in her sleep, leaving a will that gutted us, the family home to a ministry for wayward youth. Her savings funneled to conversion camps. A note pinned to the document. "For their souls, as I couldn't save yours." Fury ignited. Nicholas, ever the peacemaker, wanted to let it go. It's her ghost talking. But I couldn't, not after the lives she'd warped. We sued, quietly, through a pro bono queer rights firm in Atlanta. The case blew up. Twins separated by bigotry, a dying woman's final act of hate. Media swarmed, CNN panels debating legacy of shame, op-eds in the AJC calling it Southern Gothic tragedy. Protests erupted outside the ministry's doors, rainbow flags waving beside picket signs. Nicholas hated the spotlight, retreating to church solos that now carried defiance. "Sing louder," I'd urge from the pews. "Let them hear us." The courtroom in Savannah was a powder keg. Our lawyer, a sharp-tongued firebrand from Emory, dismantling grandmother's estate clause by clause. The ministry's counsel spewed scripture, painting us as vengeful sinners. Nicholas testified first, voice unwavering. "She took my brother to save me. Now she's funding the same torture?" "No. My turn. Raw. Unfiltered. The abandonment. The streets. The hole that shaped me. This isn't about money. It's about stopping the cycle." The judge ruled in our favor. Home and funds redirected to a queer youth shelter in Savannah. Victory tasted bittersweet. Cheers from supporters drowned my sobs as Nicholas pulled me into the hallway. We did it, Bran. For the kids we were. Outside, rain-washed streets gleamed, a double rainbow arching over the river like absolution. Summer deepened our bond. No fireworks romance, just quiet intimacies, shared grocery lists, movie marathons on rainy nights, his head on my shoulder during thunderstorms. We adopted a rescue mutt named Grace, who curled between us on the couch. Emily visited with the girls. Co-parenting evolved into alliance. She even joined us for a drag brunch, laughing till tears came. One evening in the park, the same bench from that first reunion, now wreathed in fireflies, Nicholas turned to me. I soughed. I was scared of this. Of us. I traced his jaw, mirror to my own. Me too. But we're whole now. Our lips met then, tentative as dawn, sealing 3 decades of fracture. Not passion's blaze, but love's steady hearth, forged in loss, tempered by truth. Life isn't fairy tales. Bigotry lingers in boardroom whispers, family reunions skipped. But in Atlanta's pulse, we thrive. His voice leading a queer chorus, my designs funding scholarships for foster kids. Grandmother's shadow fades, replaced by light we claimed ourselves. Twins reunited, not despite our queerness, but because of it. In the end, grace isn't given, it's sung. The lawsuit's echo lingered like humidity after a storm, drawing eyes wherever we went. In Atlanta's creative scene, I was used to sidelong glances. The gay designer with the tragic backstory, fodder for TEDx invites and podcast spots. But with Nicholas in tow, it amplified. The inseparable twins, Exhibit A in the fight against conversion therapy relics. We fielded interview requests over breakfast omelets, his fork pausing midair as I'd quip. Tell him we're too busy living to litigate. He'd chuckle, that low rumble that still startled me with its familiarity, but unease simmered beneath. Fame's a fickle congregation, Bran. One wrong note, and they're gone. He wasn't wrong. Our first real fracture post-victory came unannounced, a Tuesday in June when the shelter's groundbreaking hit the local news. Shovels in earth, rainbow ribbons fluttering, a photo op that went viral. By evening, Nicholas's phone blew up. Voicemails from old choir buddies, laced with concern or condemnation. Nick, that place? It's against God's plan. One, from his Knoxville deacon, ended with a Bible verse on Sodom, voice dripping pity. He deleted them silently, but I saw the flinch, the way his shoulders hunched like under an invisible yoke. That night, we argued in the kitchen, Grace whining at our feet. Block them, I urged, pacing linoleum worn from our routines. They're poison. He set his beer down, eyes stormy. They're family, Bran. Or were. I can't just erase. Family. I shot back, voice rising. Like grandmother? Like the Fosters who bruised you black. The words landed cruel, unintended barbs from my own scars. He recoiled, grabbing keys. I need air. The door slammed, leaving me with the dog's accusatory stare and a gnawing void. He returned at midnight, smelling of rain and regret, collapsing onto the couch where I pretended to sketch. Sorry, he murmured, head in hands. It's just, singing in church was my armor. Now it feels like surrender. I slid beside him, arm around his waist. Our default comfort, evolved from brotherly to something tender. Then sing your own hymns. With me. We stayed like that till dawn, whispers weaving through the dark. His Ohio winters, my Atlanta hustles, the parallel lives we'd scripted in solitude. Emily's reconciliation added layers. Post-divorce, she'd dated a history prof, but it fizzled, leaving her adrift in Knoxville's quiet. The girls missed their dad. She confessed over a video call, backdrop of her sister's floral wallpaper. And, you, Bran. Uncle Bran. Subtext hummed. Loneliness bridged by our improbable trio. She visited that July 4th, fireworks bursting over the Chattahoochee as we picnicked on the banks. The girls, now 10 and 7, chased sparklers, their laughter a symphony. Emily and I bonded over Pinot Grigio, swapping stories of single parenting woes, hers with custody schedules, mine with the shelter's volunteer shifts. Nicholas watched us, a smile masking turmoil. Later, as bottle rockets faded, he pulled her aside under the willows. I pretended not to eavesdrop, tossing a frisbee to the dog. Their voices carried. I still care, Em. As a friend. More. She laughed soft. Friends, Nick. That's enough. Relief washed me, but jealousy flickered, irrational, possessive. Was I hoarding him, after all we'd lost? August brought heat waves and hidden tensions. Nicholas landed a gig renovating a queer-friendly coffee shop in Midtown, his hammer swings syncing to playlists of Broadway cast albums. I freelanced from home, but deadlines loomed for a Pride apparel line, sketches blurring with fatigue. One evening, I came home to find him on the fire escape, guitar in lap, a thrift store find he'd been strumming hymns on. "Join me?" he asked, hazel eyes inviting. We played till stars pricked the skyline, his tenor harmonizing my baritone in folksy covers of Hallelujah and Bridge Over Troubled Water. Midway, he paused, fingers still on strings. "Bran, what are we?" The question hung, vulnerable as a first confession. I set my pick down, heart thudding. Twins. Lovers. Family. All of it. His kiss followed, deeper than the park's tentative brush, salty with sweat, sweet with certainty. We tumbled inside, boundaries dissolving in the summer swelter, bodies rediscovering rhythms written in our shared DNA. But romance in the real world chafes. Mornings after brought awkward coffees, laughs masking the seismic shift. "Does this make us official?" he joked, pouring creamer. I grinned. Official as a Savannah debutante. Yet doubts crept. His church invites dwindled, replaced by guilt-tinged silences. I pushed for therapy, couple sessions at a Midtown center specializing in queer kinships. Our counselor, a no-nonsense dyke named Rita with tattoos of matryoshka dolls, unpacked the abandonment trauma like a puzzle. "You two are mirrors," she'd say. But mirrors crack. Learn to reflect without shattering. Fall foliage turned the city ablaze, mirroring our highs and lows. The shelter opened its doors, a cozy brick building on the edge of Savannah's historic district, named Hayes Haven, in defiant irony. The ribbon-cutting drew crowds, politicians for photo ops, activists for speeches, us for the quiet pride of purpose. Nicholas emceed, voice booming through the mic. "This is for the kids' grandmother tried to break. We're the proof they can't." Applause thundered, but backstage, he trembled. What if it's not enough? Emily relocated south that October, renting a bungalow in Decatur to be near the girls' school district, a compromise for joint custody. Dinners became quartets, her sharp wit clashing with my sarcasm, Nicholas mediating with dad jokes. One night, over lasagna, she dropped the bomb. "I'm seeing someone. A woman." Silence, then cheers, mine loudest, hugging her till she wheezed. Nicholas's smile was genuine, but edged with what if. Later, in bed, he confessed, "Part of me wonders, if I'd met you sooner, would I have chosen different?" I traced his spine. "Choices aren't chains, Nick. They're wings." Thanksgiving tested us. Back in Savannah for the first holiday sans grandmother, we hosted at the old family home, now ours, willed to the shelter, but deeded a wing for legacy use. Cousins trickled in, awkward with the media glare, toasts skirting our situation. Uncle Ray, the Bible thumper holdout, cornered Nicholas post-pumpkin pie. "This queer business, it's a phase, boy. Come back to the fold." Nick's face hardened. "The fold chewed me up once. I'm building my own." Ray stormed out, but the damage lingered. Nicholas retreating to the porch, cigarette in hand, a vice resurrected from stress. I found him there, stars wheeling overhead. "He's wrong," I said, settling beside. "You're not a phase. You're the crescendo." He leaned into me, smoke curling like prayers unanswered. What if I falter? Then we duet the discord. Our lovemaking that night was fierce, reclaiming the creaky four-poster bed of our boyhood, ghosts exorcised in gasps and grips. Winter whispered warnings. A Knoxville church sued the shelter, claiming defamation from our will contest. A petty Hail Mary from Nicholas's old deacon. Court dates loomed, dredging testimonies of his reform days. He spiraled, missing sessions, voice cracking on stage at a holiday concert. "It's like she's winning from the grave," he muttered one blizzardy eve, snow blanketing the city in hush. Rita urged confrontation. Write her a letter. Unsent. We did, huddled by the radiator, pages of fury and forgiveness, his pen shaking on, "I hate what you made me fear." Burning it in the sink felt ritualistic, ashes swirling down the drain like absolution. But the real storm brewed elsewhere. Christmas Eve, Emily called frantic. The girls, overhearing her new girlfriend on speaker, asked, "Is Dad why you like girls now?" Custody whispers turned to threats. Her ex-in-laws, conservative as cornbread, pushing for grandparents' rights. Nicholas drove north through flurries, me shotgun, Grayson back. The in-laws' McMansion glowed with lights, but inside crackled tension. "You're corrupting them," the grandfather snarled, waving court papers. Emily held firm, but Nicholas cracked. "This is my fault. My lies." We mediated till dawn, coffee cold, a fragile truce brokered, supervised visits, therapy for all. Driving home, knuckles white on the wheel, he broke. "I can't lose them, Bran. Not again." Tears froze on his cheeks. I pulled over at a rest stop, holding him as sobs racked, the twin I'd mourned, unraveling in my arms. "You won't. We're hazes. We endure." New Year's dawned resolute. We toasted with cheap champagne on the balcony, city fireworks mirroring resolve. "To unbroken chords," he said, clinking glasses. But fate, that southern trickster, had one more twist. January thawed into February's fickle warmth, but the custody skirmish festered like an untreated wound. Emily's in-laws lawyered up, depositions scheduled that painted Nicholas as unfit, citing the divorce, the lawsuit, our unconventional, living arrangement unearthed by a PI's sloppy surveillance. "They have photos," she warned over a tense Zoom, face pale against her bungalow's exposed brick. Us at Pride, holding hands. Nicholas's jaw clenched. "Let them. Truth's my defense." But truth is a double-edged blade in courtrooms steeped in tradition. The hearing in Knoxville's federal building was a circus, reporters milling the halls, our shelter's donors funding the fight. Nicholas took the stand, suit crisp, but eyes shadowed. "I love my daughters more than breath," he testified, voice steady as gospel. "My path to fatherhood was crooked, but my heart's true." The judge, a silver-haired woman with a no-nonsense bob, nodded, but the in-law's attorney pounced. "And your brother's influence? The homosexual lifestyle? Is that what you want for Lily and Rose?" The gallery gasped. I gripped the bench till splinters bit. Objection overruled. Nicholas met my gaze across the room, steel and hazel. "My brother saved me. From lies I told myself. My girls deserve honesty, not hate." Emily followed, eloquent on co-parenting's evolution, where family expanded, not fractured. Verdict: rights denied, but monitored access granted. Victory: Pyrrhic. Exhaustion hit like a freight train. Back in Atlanta, we crashed, takeout tie on the couch, Grace nosing for scraps. "It's over," I murmured, massaging his temples. He sighed, melting. "For now? But Bran, what if they win the appeal?" Doubt, that old specter, coiled. We made love slowly, reaffirming in touches what words couldn't. "You're enough. We're enough." Spring bloomed defiant. The shelter thrived, kids trickling in, wide-eyed from group homes, finding art rooms stocked with my donated supplies. Nicholas volunteered evenings, teaching woodworking. Build something solid, even if it wobbles at first. His chorus gig evolved too, a queer ensemble blending spirituals with show tunes, packing venues from Little Five Points to Piedmont Park. I designed their posters, twins entwined in melody, subtle as Spanish moss. But harmony hid discord. Emily's girlfriend, Sarah, a warm-hearted librarian with a penchant for mystery novels, integrated seamlessly. Double dates at the varsity for chili dogs, game nights with charades that dissolved into hysterics. Yet Nicholas chafed at the normalcy. "It's too easy," he confessed one hike up Stone Mountain, sweat beading on brows. "Like I'm borrowing someone else's life." I paused, granite warm under palms. "Ours is earned, Nick. Every step." May brought Memorial Day barbecues, the girls splashing in our kiddie pool, Sarah grilling veggie skewers. Uncle Ray showed, uninvited, Bible underarm. "Thought I'd check on Ken." He grunted, eyeing our rainbow flag. Tension simmered through ribs and slaw, erupting when he cornered me by the cooler. "You're the poison boy." Turning him. Nicholas overheard, stepping between. "Walk away, Uncle, or we're done." Ray left sputtering, but the seed planted. Nicholas second-guessing invites to family reunions, isolating us further. Therapy with Rita dug deeper. "Abandonment's a loop," she said, dolls nested on her desk. "Grandmother's choice echoes in your fears of loss." Nicholas nodded, but post-session, He withdrew. Late nights at the shop, hammer echoing solitude. I confronted him over cold pizza. Talk to me. He deflated. What if loving you cost them everything? The girls see headlines. Gay uncle influences dad. Rage flared, misplaced. So I'm the villain? After I fought for you. Words escalated, vases rattling. He grabbed his jacket. I need space, Bran. To breathe without breaking. The door clicked shut, softer than a slam, but sharper. I paced till 3 a.m., Grace's head in lap, replaying the rift. Was this the misunderstanding grandmother sowed, blooming late? He returned at dawn, duffel slung, eyes red-rimmed. Crashed at the shop. Coffee brewed in silence. Then, I panicked. You're not the cost, hiding is. We rebuilt, brick by tentative brick. Date nights at hole-in-the-wall jazz clubs, his hand in mine under tables. Pride weekend sealed it, marching arm in arm, his voice leading chants, my signs waving high. The girls joined, tiny flags aloft, Emily and Sarah beaming from the sidelines. Uncle Bran, Dad, they shrieked, weaving through floats. In that sea of color, barriers dissolved. Summer solstice marked a milestone, our first anniversary, unofficially. Nicholas planned a surprise, picnic at that Athens park, the bench now engraved discreetly with B&N Forever, via a friend's stonecutter hookup. Basket unpacked, fried chicken from a soul food spot, peach cobbler, wine chilled in a thermos. As dusk painted the pond rose gold, he pulled a small box, not rings, but matching silver chains with half pendants, twins linked. For the parts we carry, he said, fastening mine. Our kiss deepened, world fading to birdsong and heartbeat. But Idol's invite intrusion. July's heat wave coincided with a documentary crew, indie filmmakers chasing our story for Sundance. Raw, real, the director pitched over IPAs at a brewery. Nicholas hesitated. Exposure had burned before. Last time, it was catharsis. This. I squeezed his knee. Your call. But imagine the kids it reaches. He agreed. Cameras rolling in our apartment. Unscripted mornings, shelter visits, a church scene where he sang, It Is Well, with queer choir twists. Filming Unearthed Ghosts. During a confessional segment, Nicholas broke. I dreamed of Brandon dying. Every night. When I found him, it was resurrection. But what if I crucify us with fame? The director cut, but the rawness lingered. That night, lovemaking turned urgent, bodies mapping forgiveness. August stormed in, literal and figurative. A hurricane skimmed the coast, power outages flickering our block. Candles guttered as we played cards by flashlight, laughter echoing. But Emily called mid-hand. In-laws appealing, new evidence. Doctored photos implying Nicholas's predatory influence on the girls. They're saying pride exposed them to inappropriate displays. Fury unified us, lawyers mobilized, countersuits flying. The appeal hearing hit like lightning. Knoxville again, autumn leaves swirling outside. This time, the girls testified, coached but candid. Lily, 10, clutched her teddy. I love Dad and Uncle Bran. They make me feel safe. Rose added, lisp endearing. Church sings happy now. The judge dismissed, sanctions on the grandparents for frivolous harassment. Outside, media mobbed. Nicholas shielded the kids, but a reporter's mic thrust. Regrets on coming out late? He paused, then, only that I waited. Fall deep in resolve. The doc wrapped, preview screening at a queer film fest, standing ovation, tears streaming. Nicholas's solo clip went viral, remixed into TikTok anthems. Invites poured, talk shows, panels. We navigated as a unit, Emily's input grounding. Keep it human, not spectacle. Thanksgiving circled back to Savannah, Hayes Haven bustling with shelter kids and kin. No Ray, but cousins warmed, toasting to mended fences. Post-feast, Nicholas and I walked the garden, magnolias shedding petals like confetti. One year, he mused. Feels like always. I pulled him close. And forever. Winter whispered of change. Emily and Sarah proposed, a commitment ceremony in the bungalow's backyard, spring blooms proxy. We RSVP'd yes, rings exchanged under string lights. Nicholas officiated, voice thick, in love's quiet revolution. Tears flowed, ours mingling with theirs. But climax brewed unseen. Christmas, a package arrived, unmarked, postmarked Savannah. Inside, grandmother's rosary, Note in faded script. Forgive, as I couldn't. Attached, a hidden codicil. Forgotten clause donating residuals to the ministry, triggered by her death. Revived suit loomed, their lawyers circling like vultures. Nicholas crumpled the paper. She's clawing back. Rage, long banked, roared. No, we end this. The boardroom battle ensued. Depositions, our doc as exhibit, a media frenzy peaked. Twins versus theocracy. Nicholas's testimony sealed it. She gave me away for this hate. I won't let it claim my legacy. Judge's gavel. Funds ours, ministry defunded. Jubilation, champagne toasts at the shelter, kids cheering. But in the quiet after, Nicholas confessed. I almost ran. Feared I'd drag you down. I cupped his face. You lift me. Always. Spring 2026 dawned renewed. The doc premiered nationally, Emmys whispered. We adopted Grace's littermate, a scrappy pup named Redemption. Life's tapestry wove on. Imperfect, profound. Yet renewal invites reckoning. Post-premiere buzz. Nicholas's chorus booked a national tour. Coastal churches open to inclusive acts, a bold pivot. It's outreach, he said over packing lists, suitcase yawning on the bed. I nodded, masking the pang. Break a leg. Or a leg line. Jokes veiled the void. Weeks apart, my bed half empty, sketches uninspired. He left in May, voicemails his lifeline. Sung to a packed pew in Charleston, they clapped for the encore. Texts laced with misuse, but distance amplified doubts. Emily noticed during a girl's weekend visit. He's glowing, Bran. But you're dim. Over wine on the porch, I spilled. What if the road reverts him? Back to straight-laced safety. She laughed sharp. Nick's compass is you. Trust the north. Solitude sharpened edges. Shelter duties piled. Fundraising galas where I'd glad-hand donors. Channeling grandmother's ghost into good. One night, post-event, a tipsy board member cornered me. Your brother's quite the draw. Ever think of franchising the drama? Revulsion soured the Chardonnay. I fled to the balcony, city lights blurring through tears. Fame's price. Our pain, packaged. Nicholas returned mid-June, tanned and trail-weary, sweeping me into a bare hug that smelled of salt air and pine. Home, he breathed, luggage forgotten. We reclaimed lost time, lazy Sundays in bed, reading aloud from dog-eared Vonnegut, his laughter rumbling against my chest. But tour tales carried undercurrents. A Birmingham deacon's post-show invite. To pray over your path. He'd declined, but the echo lingered. Old habits, he admitted, tracing my collarbone. Whispering I'm wrong. Therapy resumed, Rita's dolls judging. Tour's a trigger, she probed. Nicholas nodded. Spotlights feel like spot checks. Am I passing? I interjected. You're shining. But vulnerability bred friction. July 4th, fireworks over the park. We argued en route. Me accusing withdrawal, him defending space. I need to breathe the air I came from. And choke on it. Words wounded. He slept on the couch, grace mediator. Dawn brought apology omelets, yolks runny as regrets. I'm scared, he confessed, fork-scraping plate. Of losing you to my mess. I reached across. Mess is our medium. Canvas it. Reconnection followed. A weekend getaway to Tybee Island. Dunes whispering secrets. We walked the beach at low tide, barefoot, shells crunching. Remember Kid Forts? He asked, waves lapping ankles. This is our castle now. Sunset sealed it, lips salt-kissed, horizon swallowing the sun. Emily's wedding, commitment, really, anchored August. Backyard transformed, wildflowers arching arbors, Sarah in a linen suit, Emily beaming in sundress. The girls scattered petals, vows exchanged under a live oak. In storms and stillness, I choose you. Nicholas's homily moved us to sniffles. Love isn't loud. It's the quiet yes every dawn. Reception danced till dew fell, our slow sway to at last a vow unspoken. Fall foliage framed new chapters. The shelter expanded, a Knoxville satellite, Emily spearheading. Nicholas consulted, bridging worlds. Build with heart, not hammers alone. His chorus album dropped. Echoes of Grace, our duet closing track. Charts climbed, radio play tentative but growing. Interviews softened, less tragedy, more triumph. We're not survivors, he'd say. We're singers. But controversy stalked. A conservative outlet twisted a clip. Ex-gay twin seduces brother. Hollywood lies? Trolls swarm socials. Death threats pinging our inbox. Nicholas hardened, deleting apps. Enough. I rallied. Counterposts, ally callouts. The backlash boomeranged. Support surging, the doc retrending. Yet fear festered. Nights, he'd bowled awake, murmuring don't leave. Thanksgiving tested temper. Family swelled. Cousins, Sarah's kin. Even a contrite Uncle Ray, post-stroke humbled. Table groaned with turkey. Talk turned to grandmother's codicil. She meant well, Ray mumbled. Nicholas's fork stilled. Well? She bartered us. Silence, then my hand on his, but we rose. Toasts followed, clinking to unbreakable bonds. Winter solstice brought the unexpected crest. Christmas Eve, post-concert, Nicholas vanished. Phone dead, truck gone. Panic clawed. Memories of grandmother's dawn drive flashing. I scoured Atlanta's veins. Bars, parks, the shelter. Emily joined at midnight. Girls asleep in back. Where? Dawn found us at the old Savannah home. Intuition pulling south. He was on the porch, snow-dusted, rosary in lap. The one from her package. Needed to face her, he said, voice raw. Inside, we sifted ghosts. Photo albums yellowed. Our boyhood grins mocking the pain. I hated her, he wept. But I missed the boy who believed her God. I held him as sobs subsided. That boy's in you still. Whole. Drive home blurred, revelations unfolding. The tour? A subconscious flight. Testing if he could solo without shattering. I couldn't, he admitted. You're my harmony. Back in Atlanta, we burned the rosary in the sink, ashes to wind. New Year's, we vowed, no more hiding. Couples retreat in the Smokies, hiking mist-shrouded trails, hot tub confessions. Marry me, he asked. Rings simple silver, twin pendants fused. Legally, spiritually. Us. Spring 2027 flowered forth. Wedding small. Courthouse then backyard, Emily officiating. In the face of fractures, you forged. Vows. I choose your shadows as my light. Honeymoon in the Keys. Conch shells collected, sunsets savored. Life settled. His teaching gig at a community college. Voice lessons laced with life lessons. My firm boomed. Queer-centric designs for brands bold. The girls thrived. Lily out as bi in high school. Rose sketching like me. Shelter satellites sprouted. Nicholas's blueprint. Emily and Sarah adopted. Family web widening. Controversies? They came. A church boycott of his album. A politician's slur. We countered with concerts. Columns. Love's the real revolution. One autumn eve. In our park. Bench weathered. Engraving moss-kissed. We sat. Graces at our feet. 33 years, he mused. From split to spliced. I leaned in. And every note worth the silence. His kiss, eternal as tides, whispered, redemption isn't given. It's harmonized. In the end, grandmother's betrayal birthed beauty, a love defying decades, deep as Delta soil. We sing on, twins unbroken, voices raised in defiant grace. For every kid given away, every secret shrouded, you're not alone. Find your echo. Sing at home.